Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, welcome to my channel. My name is Diamante. I do videos on makeup, beauty, and all other beauty related things. In today's video, guys, I am going to be doing a which is better video. It is one of my favorite series on my channel that I like to make videos on, just comparing different products and things like that. But today we aren't exactly testing out different products, but we are testing out different techniques, and what those techniques are is what's the best way to put on foundation. Some people use their hands, some people use a beauty sponge, and some people use brushes. I've never actually applied foundation with like my actual hands. I know some people do, but for me it's kind of like it's a little cringy to actually like want the thought and the idea of putting on foundation with my hands kind of freaks me out a little bit. So yeah guys, without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So the foundation that I'll be using today to test all three of these techniques out is the Too Faced Born This Way foundation. This is a really great foundation if you want really natural coverage or if you want something more fuller coverage. So that is why I chose this product today, just because it gives you a range of different coverage depending on how you apply it. Alright, so let's start off with the way that most people typically nowadays put on their foundation, and that is with a beauty sponge. In my personal experience, the advantage of working with a beauty sponge, at least a wet beauty sponge, which is the way most people use it, is that you can really get your foundation on in the most natural finish possible. With that being said, let me go ahead and put 2 pumps of the foundation on the back of my hand, and I'm going to just apply those 2 pumps all over my face. As you can tell, by having that pouncing effect, it's really spreading the foundation out, but it's also, like I said earlier, applying it in a very natural way so that it doesn't look cakey. Now, with foundation sponges is that the only major con with it is that if you're the type of person who wants like a quick coverage, like who wants to put on their makeup super quickly and get out the door, this may be a little bit slower for you. If, depending on the foundation, if it's too like liquidy or too watery, then of course your sponge is going to absorb some of the product, which is why sponges are great for giving that natural finish, because it's not going to add that unwanted texture or that unwanted product on your face. As you can tell, it still has that natural, it's has a natural finish to the skin. It's not too heavy of coverage. This is about a solid medium coverage with 2 pumps using a sponge. So I'm gonna go ahead and wipe this guy off, and then we're gonna go ahead and go on with the next application, which is using a brush. So for this part, I'm going to be using the Morphe M439 brush. It's just a basic buffing foundation brush. Now, with that being said, there are many different types of foundation brushes out there. So if you guys want me to do a video specifically catered towards explaining the difference between like how different foundation brushes work, then definitely let me know in the comments below. So typically with a foundation brush like this, it is made for buffing and just pressing the foundation against your skin. It is made to give you more so of that fuller coverage more quickly than a sponge would. Same 2 pumps, same foundation. So 1, 2, take that on my brush and then start applying. As you can tell already, I'm getting a lot more fuller coverage from using this brush more than using the sponge. But yeah, so this is what the brush looks like. More fuller coverage. It doesn't have quite as much of that natural finish that the sponge gave, but again, that sponge added that moisture to it, that wetness to it, which is why the sponge is going to look a little bit more natural and finished than the than the brush would. So again, this is what the brush application looks like. Alright guys, so last but not least is the hand application. With applying foundation with your hands are going to warm up the product a little bit more. It's going to melt into your skin a lot easier. Again, do those same 2 pumps in my hand. So I guess I will do it like this. So it's the same 2 pumps, and I'm not completely sure, so I guess I'll just go in with my fingers like this and just start swiping, I guess. This feels a little bit different than, you know, what I'm used to, so this is a little bit of a learning curve for me. But so far, I'm not mad at it. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm going to apply it where I need it first, like the majority of it. Then I'm just gonna rub the rest in my hands and just really kind of like spread it out like moisturizer. What I'm noticing right off the bat is that you definitely, with using your hands, you have to make sure everything is quite blended everywhere before the foundation, whatever foundation that you use, begins to dry, because if it dries completely, then you're screwed. But as far as the finish goes, I actually don't mind the finish at all. I actually really like it. As far as the coverage that it's giving, it's a very pretty much the same coverage that the Beauty Blender gave. A very like natural finish to the skin. The only con that I would say with using, of course, your hands with foundation, with applying foundation, is that of course, you know, you end up with dirty little, well, in my case, dirty big fingers. Alright guys, so let's recap. So again, with testing out the different ways of putting on foundation, 3 different ways, everybody has their preference. So let's talk about the pros and the cons. So the first application that I did was the sponge. So the pros of using a beauty sponge when applying your foundation is that the beauty sponge is going to apply the foundation in a natural way. It's not going to look cakey. It's not going to look too heavy on the skin, and the benefit of the sponge is definitely, you know, that it is very versatile when you're applying your makeup. Now, as far as the cons go, the only cons when it comes to makeup sponges is that the makeup sponges are going to absorb some of the excess product, but if you are a type of person who likes their full coverage right away, or who just, you know, likes to take advantage of all the product that they can, then it's definitely a con, because it is, of course, absorbing some of the product. And depending on the consistency of the foundation, the more watery it is, or the more liquidy it is, the more that the Beauty Blender is going to absorb it into the sponge. So definitely be mindful of that. Now, the next way we applied it was with a brush. Now, with this specific brush, it is going to apply your foundation in a more fuller coverage straight out the gate. It's not going to absorb much product at all. Most of the product that you pump is going to go onto your skin. This brush is also going to be handy if you want something that's more so of a fast application. Now, depending on the brush, of course, and depending on the foundation and your skin, brushes tend to not necessarily emphasize texture on the skin, but if you have any dry patches or anything like that, if you are using a buffing motion versus just a pressing in motion, you could be lifting up texture off your skin, whether that be hair, dry skin, and whatnot. So that is the only con when it comes to brushes like this. Again, guys, if you want to see a brush video specifically talking about different brushes and how different foundation brushes apply foundation, then again, definitely leave that comment below and give this video a thumbs up for that. Alright, and the final thing, which is applying foundation with your bare hands. So the pros of applying foundation with your bare hands are that it's going to give you a very natural finish to the skin. It's going to the foundation is easily going to melt into your skin because it's being warmed up by the temperature of your hands. Now, that is one of the biggest pros when it comes to applying it with your hands. Now, the biggest cons are that, of course, with applying it with your hands, you have to, of course, clean your hands right after you finish applying the foundation. And also, you have to spend a little bit more time making sure that everything is blended out on your face, because when I was applying it like I was like applying like a moisturizer, I noticed like there were pieces here missing here and there, so I had to spend a little bit extra time blending. But again, if you're the type of person that only uses foundation and that's pretty much it, this might be definitely something, you know, a technique that you may want to use. With that being said, drum roll please, which is better? So in my personal opinion, I'm going to say that the sponge. So the beauty sponge is going to be the thing that is the best out of all three if we're generally speaking. And the reason why it is the best is because it is going to apply your foundation in a very natural, non-cakey way. And of course you can build a product with the sponge really easily. Your hands won't get dirty. And of course the sponge is reusable depending on the type of sponge that you have. So I definitely say the sponge is going to give you the most versatility, and so that's why it comes in first place for me, because you can do so much with just a sponge versus using a brush or versus just using your hands. Alright guys, so I hope you enjoyed this which is better video. If you like these which is better videos, then definitely give this video a thumbs up. Also, don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you aren't subscribed. I upload every Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday every single week, Central Standard Time at 3 p.m. But yeah guys, thanks for watching, and I will catch you guys later in the next video. Bye.